Well, Danny, I have to ask, where did the idea for this film come from?
Oh, I'm trying to think of something I haven't said yet. Uh, the story came from, sorry, Luke, I got nothing. Say the same answer.
No, come on, just go to the Craigslist thing.
Okay. But really it started with creating something that was low budget, two people, one location. I think that's one of the best things you can do as an indie filmmaker is keep the budget low. So that it started there. And then I remember I got feedback from someone in New York who said, initially the story started between Tom and Jess meeting in the park. So there was no backstory of either of these characters. And even to this day, I'm like, that would be a really interesting film. It'd be different. But I remember someone giving feedback saying, I want more of their world. Like I want more backstory on her. I want to know who she is. Because Luke's character can get away with not knowing anything about him. And that's still very much a part of the story. But there was, specific feedback around wanting more of Jess and who she is in the world. And so that's where I brought in the whole Craigslist stuff, odd jobs, live streaming aspect of it.
Were you always in mind to play Jess then, or did it just happen to find you?
Yeah, no, I definitely wrote it for myself.
When it came to casting, how involved then were you? I mean, Luke does an amazing job of being Tom.
Yeah, the casting came down. Well, we used Judy Henderson, who is awesome. So she's a casting director in New York. And fortunately enough, she had a really good relationship with Sylvia. So Sylvia brought Judy on. And then Judy presented, so many people. And Sylvia and I were the ones that we looked at all the tapes. And Luke's tape was fire. It was a no-brainer. It's like, yeah. Well, we found our Tom. I knew instantly. I was like, we found our Tom. Here he is.
I don't know if that's flattering, Luke, or if that's a little concerning because of how well you've embodied this role. I mean, I have to ask, was there something about him or was there something about Danny's story that really drew you to this part?
Definitely both. This character is enigmatic. You never know what he's going to do, but also the idea of this man looking to get vengeance. And it seems personal for him. It seems as if he's probably gone through something very similar and therefore will go to extreme lengths to make sure he gets what he wants. Don't want to give it away for your audience just yet. But yeah, I think that there's something in both for me that really put me on to this, that I was like, this character is charming and scary. That is literally who I am. And then and then his vengeance, or his need for vengeance, I was like, yeah, that's attractive.
There's action, there's edge of your seat, there's entire adrenaline scenes where your body is just full of excitement, trying to figure out what's going on between Jess and Tom. Are they romantic? Are they really connecting? Is this a facade for both or one of them? Danny, is that what you were really hoping lingered with the audience?
Yeah, and you actually just reminded me that this was very much influenced by a relationship that I was in New York. And it was a very fleeting relationship, but it was really intense. It was like 2 or 3 days of pure intensity between us, where there was so much chemistry and sexual energy. And this person didn't even live in New York. And so I think people can relate to that. When you go away on trips and meet someone, it can be a really intense few days together, and then you go off in your own journeys. And so I definitely wanted to create that relationship and create that intensity between these two characters, where it's like they have no other time but this one night together to experience everything and kind of give part of themselves, but still hold secrets that, keeps you guessing.
Was there a scene that turned out beyond maybe your expectations when you saw it play out finally on screen, or maybe one that challenged you the most when you were actually in the moment filming it?
Can I offer that one to Luke?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Is the question ones that yeah, I mean, to shoot the most challenging scene was the sex or sexual scene, I should say. I don't want to give anything too much away, but that was the hardest to shoot because it was on the first day and there was a weather problem. We were supposed to shoot outside. We were supposed to shoot as close to in time as it goes. Mm-hmm. So we meet at the park and then we go back to where I live. And we immediately had, because it was raining, we had to skip ahead to one part of the barn because we basically shot in the barn the whole time. And that was the only part of the barn that was ready to be shot in. And that was our bedroom, my bedroom. And so we had to immediately shoot the first day on right then, as in Dani's putting her foot around me in my mouth and tickling me and all this. And so, and I'm not a prude. I'm actually like, I was single back then. I was an absolute dirty dog. But with this, I was a prude. I don't know why. I was just like, I'm not ready to shoot this right now. I want to get to know Dani so that this is okay. And then they're like, nah, well, you just have to going to do it and shut up and do it. And so I just did it. And that was incredibly challenging. But in the end, it helped bring me and Dani closer. Yeah, it was really interesting.
And also, I remember semi-panicking because I was like, how do I prepare my feet for this scene? Like I had no process around this or preparation of how do you clean your feet and in order to stick them in someone's mouth on day one. I was like, I felt like I needed a because I still had to get from the bathroom downstairs upstairs to where we were shooting. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with my feet?
Yeah, right. That's a good question, actually. What did you do? You know what? Don't tell me.
I was going to say, maybe Luke doesn't want to know.
Yeah, maybe I have foot and mouth disease now and it's your fault.
I'm so sorry.
Dani, this is just an edge of your seat watch through and through. Is that what you think is going to make it such a fast fan favorite psychological thriller? Is that it leaves you guessing from every single minute throughout the movie?
I certainly hope for that. I would love for this to be a bit of a cult classic, and I would love to create more content around these themes. Like I think that this film could easily become a series, and there's endless amounts of content around, social media stars and these underground communities. And yeah, I would love to explore more within that world.
My goodness. Luke, how did you shake off a long day of filming this one?
I never have a problem doing that. Really, unless it goes really badly or I mess up too much, I never have an issue walking away from a character or from anything that happens. So, and I maybe that's terrible. Maybe I should be worried about that, but I like getting to the end of a day and just shedding the character and being like, man, we just created something wild. See you later. See you tomorrow.
Dani, how about you?
I just remember going back to my hotel room and immediately looking at the next scene for the next day. There wasn't really a lot of time to rest, but we stayed in this cool hotel with a pool. My room faced a pool. So I was always scouting to make sure no one was in the pool when I would go in. I think that was my way of kind of shaking everything off and resetting a bit. I just remembering you on set, Luke, because you were doing your influencer social media stuff and just feeling like I didn't know if you were just being Luke on set or you were the character. Like it was it felt very method to me, where you were so just this guy and kept me on edge even when we weren't shooting. And I was like, is he being Tom right now or is he Luke?
I wasn't being necessarily in character, but I didn't make life easy for you. I don't remember. I don't like, I felt like at the end I was your friend and now I feel like we're friends. But at the time I was like, I made life more difficult for you because I wanted to get what I wanted. Yeah. And I wasn't going to like just be an actor, as in like just say my lines. I was going to put forward my ideas of how I thought things should go. And it was I was a cat and mouse even offset for you and I. Like it was like totally. we were a little bit like at each other at different times. A little probably my fault, like a little bit hostile. And then in the end, like now we're friends. I mean, and now we're going to continue to work together, which, you know, we can't really say anything about just yet, but we're going to continue to work together. And it's like, you know, I'm looking forward to that. But also at that time, I needed to get what I needed out of the script, and you needed to get what you needed from me. I mean, and yeah, it was cat and mouse.
It was smart because it definitely kept me on edge. So I didn't have to, you know, I didn't have to go in and out of it.
Yeah, right. But also you didn't need to be made on any more on edge. You were shooting your own first movie on like and acting in your first, you know, thing that you'd written. You didn't need to be any more on edge than you were, but I made you more. So that's about anyway. Maybe you're stronger for the experience. You're welcome.
Thank you, Luke.
Well, Dani, we touched on what we hope lingers with the audience from watching this, but what is the movie's ultimate commentary on social media and content creating?
Yeah, I mean, I very much relate to my character in this film because I've certainly towed the line of going too far on social media and exploiting people. Because I had my web series Survival where I would blur their faces, and that is very much within the world of Follow Her as well. Each person that she films, their face is distorted, and then she's faced with this moral dilemma of when someone's face is exposed, what does she do? Does she keep the video up, the video that's generated more views than anything else, or does she take it down because it's morally not right? And I found that really exciting, that idea of what do you do when everything you've been working for has been leading up to this moment, to this one episode, and then there's this glitch in the system and you're faced with that decision. So I wanted to explore the consequences of that and the repercussions of what happens to someone when they're becoming a public figure around that debate.